I apologize for the grittiness of my voice. I just woke up and I am very sick. But hey, you know, the grind step never stops, so let's talk about pressure. While fighting, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're attacking a blocking opponent and you need to find a way to stop them from defending. You could just keep throwing out more attacks until they fall asleep, but if they leave their stick in the down back position while they're taking that nap, they're gonna block all of your mids, so you need something else to hit them with. This is where the techniques of mix-ups come in. A mix-up is a situation where the offensive player has several ways to attack the opponent that each require a different defensive action to stop. Mix-ups are a core part of an offender's toolkit, and knowing what they can do to the enemy while they're blocking is extremely important to opening them up. It's also extremely important for the defender to know what the opponent's mix-ups options are, so something like this doesn't happen to them. I'm so cool! Let's go! But what exactly was that? I thought Strive was a grounded-based neutral footsies game like Street Fighter or, of course, the other Guilty Gear games in the series. Behold, my grounded-based footsies move! Riot Stomp! Well, there's actually different types of mix-ups. Some of them are common across every fighting game, some of them are restricted to specific sub-genres, normally, and some of them are basically game-specific. I would absolutely love to go in depth for some disgusting game-specific mix, but I think it would be better to talk about more generalized mix-ups that can be seen between different fighting games. And to begin, I think I should teach you the important lesson about taking the throw.
Let's look at the funk.
Certain situations in fighting games are kinda like a game of rock, paper, scissors. You'll have times where three options are present and they'll beat each other in different ways. A lot of the time these rock, paper, scissors situations are for the defender to figure out. If you guess the situation correctly, you get to live. If you don't, well, I hope you like tight spaces. Most RPS situations are generally game or character specific, but there is one that's generally pretty universal across every fighting game. The enemy has hit me with a plus move. Will they continue attacking me, or will they go for a throw? If you continue to stand there and block, you could get thrown for a bit of damage. If you decide to take the throw and they go for an attack, you could get counter hit for a lot of damage. If you decide to swing, the fuck are you doing there? Plus, this is a situation where all of the options you can do are covered, so you need to choose an option and commit to it. This is known as a 50-50 as each option is just as likely, and you have to choose between each of them. Now here's the thing. Here's the secret tech that you need to learn in order to deal with this mix-up. Take the throw. Asterisk. So, let's look at what happens when you take the throw. You take a small amount of damage and get hit with an Oki setup. Depending on the character, that's probably fine. Unless you're fighting a character that has really good Oki, taking the throw isn't that bad of an option. Now, let's see what happens if you get hit. Yeah, so you take way more damage and now have to deal with the same Oki. Not good. There is an exception to this rule. If she says take the throw, then yeah, it's fine. If he says it, then it's probably a trap. Besides, this one has a few more tricks up their sleeve.
Check me out, y'all.
Fighting games have two different ways of blocking. In 2D games, you can block standing, which will let you block overhead and mid attacks, and you can block low, which lets you block mid and low attacks. 99% of the time, you want to block low, as low attacks come out so fast that they're not reactable. So you need to be consistently blocking low while you're on the back foot, because you'll get opened up extremely easily otherwise. So this means when you see somebody do an overhead attack, you need to react to it and block high. Depending on the game, this generally isn't very hard, and most overhead attacks require the enemy to jump in the air, which gives you a lot of time to see it coming and even anti-air them. And most standing overheads are fucking slow. Depending on the game though, you might get a full combo off of it, but it might not do a lot of damage. Most games you can burn some kind of resource to get a full damage off of it as well, and with these ones you can do a bunch of damage depending on the combo. And despite game-specific tech, they're generally pretty easy to block, so they're not something you need to worry about too much. Depending on the game though, you can actually make these more deadly. Some characters are able to do more than one overhead attack before touching the ground after they jump. Combining this with air dashes, you're able to do several overhead attacks to force your enemy to continue blocking high, which can forcefully open them up as they may have been going to block low as they expected you to land. Speaking of using air dashes,
Check me out, y'all.
the majority of fighting games have you holding backwards in order to block an attack, so if an enemy ends up on the other side of you, you have to hold the other direction in order to block it correctly. A mix-up that relies on making the opponent guess which side they're going to get hit on is called a left-right mix-up, as they have to choose if the mix-up is going to hit them on the left side or the right side. Like, you get it. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to explain this. You're smart. The majority of left-right mix-ups in games simply have one player jumping over the other and hitting them on the other side. However, in games with air dashes, it's possible to jump and air dash over an enemy's head in order to hit them on the other side. If you do this from a jump cancelable move, you may be able to catch your opponent out before they notice what happened. Games like Dragon Ball FighterZ emphasize this by allowing the player to jump cancel any move while they have Sparking Blast, meaning you can consistently run mix-ups on your opponent while it is active. You don't always have to go over them. If your enemy is in the air, you can run under them to get to the other side. If they do not notice, you might be able to hit them as soon as they land for a free combo. This is extremely common in Skullgirls, where a lot of the game relies on resetting your opponent to get another combo. What's a reset? Well, a reset is where you intentionally end a combo early in order to mix the opponent up when they weren't expecting it and get a new combo for free. Resets are vital in some games, as combos begin to do less damage as they go on, so being able to start a new combo with no scaling leads to a lot of damage. That's a lot of 50-50s to think about, but it's good that they're only hitting in isolation. It would be devastating if you had to think about all of them in one, right? Let's go back to Geo's Hitfro. How many options do you think she has off of her close slash here? We already know the two, a low hitting move and a throw, so that's fine, but Strive has something interesting when it comes to close slashes. In Strive, a character can cancel into anything off of a close slash, but since you can cancel into anything, you can go into an uncharged dust, which forces the enemy to block overhead. You can also jump, so you're able to air dash over the enemy and hit them with a move on the other side. This means your options are throw, same side low, same side high, other side high. Now, I'm sure several of you are keen to point out how all of these options are reactable and can be beaten by different things, but that's kind of the point. They can be beaten by different things. There's no one universal option to beat everything that Giovanna has off of her close slash, and she has so many options that she can hit you with. The more options we force our enemy to think about, the more we add to their mental stack. The mental stack is just how much you're forcing your enemy to think about in a situation. If we add too many options to someone's mental stack, we can cause them to falter and get hit with basic pressure like dash up, throw, or even just the low. Mix isn't always about having things be unreactable and guessing. Sometimes it's about faking your opponent out and forcing them to think of an option that is coming that isn't, and using that against them. It's about getting in their head and destroying their mental. But there is one way to beat it, and that's to take the fucking throw!